Today I'm going to walk you through leveraging Citrix Lifecycle Management to speed up the process of building a Zen Desktop Zen App POC. I'm at the actual Lifecycle Management front page right now. I'm going to go into Resource Settings. You'll notice that I already have 2 resource locations configured, leveraging Zen Server. We support a handful of resource locations right now: Zen Server, Cloud Platform, AWS, Hyper-V. Today I'm going to actually just leverage my laptop running Zen Server 6.5. All I've done at this point is built a Windows 2012 R2 server from the base media, and I simply installed a agent that I downloaded from Lifecycle Management that allows that computer, that VM, to talk to Lifecycle Manager. Okay, and then we call those connectors. I also actually built a Windows 2012 R2 template. And in a future video, I'll go ahead and walk through what you need to do to get that template to use with Lifecycle Manager. You have to do a couple things with sysprep and make sure that, on creation, it boots right into a situation where you can install the agent. But today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and deploy this Zen App and Zen Desktop proof of concept. What that's going to entail is creating an Active Directory. So you're going to have a domain controller. Then it's going to create a delivery controller, join it to that newly created domain, install Zen Desktop, create a site, create the database, create a server VDA, join it to the domain, and then publish that desktop from the server VDA. So we're going to go ahead and deploy this now so you can see the benefit of leveraging CLM the next time you need to start a POC. Okay, so again, here's a resource location. Deploying this blueprint to my T440S laptop. My connector is the lap CLM01. And again, just for review, there's my Windows 2012 R2 server with the CLM connector agent running. And that's essentially all I have. That and that template that you see there as well. So let's go ahead and go in and hit deploy. And we'll start the deployment setup. Now, each deployment has a profile that has basically the information in it that you need to deploy the blueprint. So we're going to go ahead. We're not going to configure a NetScaler. And here's a quick overview of what it is going to install. Again, we've talked about this, the 3 VMs, the domain controller, the delivery controller, and the VDA. It talks a little bit about what you need to do for the template. And here again, it breaks out the components, how many VMs of each it's going to create. And when you get to this section, this is where you actually start seeing some of the communication between CLM and your local environment. So here is where you'll see the connector actually connected to the hypervisor. It finds my template. I can set this vCPUs, the memory, for each VM that you're going to create. And again, we're creating new VMs in this blueprint. Here's where you configure the domain name, the domain administrator account and password, the computer names that it will be renaming things to. This is actually downloading the 7.7 media from cloudfront.net. I'm just leaving that. That's the default. Here's the confirmation page. Again, we're not doing a NetScaler. It's a very simple, straightforward POC with 3 VMs. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the process on the video. In real time, you'll notice the clock at the bottom. It's going to take about an hour and 25 plus minutes for this to run through the blueprint. But on the right, you'll notice that it's already spawned the domain controller. And as it runs through this, you can see the steps that it's taking on the left. So here's where it's essentially doing the DC promo. It's rebooting, and it'll quickly kind of run through the domain controller step, and then quickly we'll be down, and you'll notice that there it just spawned a second VM where it created the delivery controller. It installs the agent. And again, you get feedback in the step output section as CLM is running through these blueprints. You can also close this and log back into CLM at any time and kind of see where your blueprint is. Obviously for larger blueprints, it's going to take longer to deploy. If you had HA configured, obviously NetScaler, those are going to take a lot longer. Here's where it's actually downloading the Zen Desktop media. It's going to mount that media and actually do the whole install of Zen Desktop. It's going to install Zen Desktop, create the site and the database, and then it's going to jump right down into the server VDA. So you'll see it spawn the third VM here shortly. There we go, third VM. So it's actually doing the server VDA now. You'll notice it's joining all these to the domain. And we install a couple applications, 7-zip and whatnot, to extract the VDA section of the media, which is what it needs to install on the VDA VM. And we're getting close to the end now. And what it's going to do is actually install the VDA. It's going to create the Zen Desktop catalog, add the VDA to the catalog, create the delivery group, and then it's going to publish that desktop. And there you have it. So you notice the time at the bottom, about 1:30. So there are the 3 VMs and IP addresses. What I'm going to do is kind of take a look at the deployment report real quick and just kind of scan down to see if anything jumps out. It looks like everything is green, everything's happy. So let's jump over to our hypervisor now, and I'm going to go ahead and look at the controller, grab its IP address. It's .66. So let's go ahead and launch receiver for web coming off of the controller that's running storefront. And that's again at .66. Here's receiver for web. I'm going to go ahead and log in with the domain administrator that I configured on that configuration screen. And you'll notice that now we're authenticating to the CLM created storefront. There's our sample desktop. And there you have it. I've launched a desktop straight from a CLM created POC blueprint in about an hour and a half. So I also want to just jump into the controller real quick just to show what it did during the install process. So I'll go ahead and log in and launch Studio. Okay, and you'll notice that it's actually created a cloud site. That's the name of the Zen Desktop site, which is configurable. Here's the receiver for web information. Obviously, we didn't configure any certificates. The delivery group was created. It contains that VDA server. Obviously, the machine catalog was also created. So let's dig into the delivery group and take a look at that VDA server. And we see our session there. So there's the session that we are currently in, that we launched, the 2012 R2 published desktop session. There's the information on the session. So at this point, you could obviously add other pieces that are pertinent to the POC. But just like that, you've got basically a fantastic starting framework for a POC of Zen App and Zen Desktop. Real quick, I wanted to point out that once you've done this, the agents are reporting back to CLM, and you can get some information from a monitoring perspective as well. So the last piece that I want to show you is once you're done with the POC, there's a teardown feature of Lifecycle Management as well. You simply come into your deployment, and you notice here's the deployment that we just created, and you can actually go ahead and select the teardown feature on the right at the top, and this will do exactly that. It will basically tear down the POC, clean everything up so that your resources are returned back to the pool. So what you'll see here is it'll essentially shut down those VMs and delete them from my hypervisor. So this is a real nice way to, once you're done with the POC and you're moving on to, either production or a pilot, you can go ahead and clean up after yourself with what the POC had laid down. And you'll see there they go, and now we're back to where we started. So again, for more information on all this, you can navigate to manage.citrix.com, and you can actually sign up for a free trial account to test this out if you haven't done so.